There are very many things that are happening in this country. What is taking the nation by storm is the conversation that we're having this hour. And as we do that, we are going to talk right now with the former UDA Secretary General, who is Cleopas Malala. He is in the Nakuru Central Police Station, and he's having a conversation with us about exactly what is going on. Good morning. Good morning, Cleo. Good morning. How are you doing?
Good morning. How are you?
I'm all right. You have not had a very interesting night. We want to get a word from you in terms of exactly what is going on and where you are.
Yeah, the last night was quite an ugly night for Kenya. We are very disappointed by the manner in which government is handling this matter. First of all, I want to say that I empathize with the students of Butere girls, the young souls, the young talents who have given out themselves to nurture their talents and expose the evil deeds of this country through art. And Drama Festival has been there for a very long time. We have a variety of themes that are being exposed at the National Drama Festivals. And it is quite unfortunate for the officials and the administration to victimize young souls who are just out to expose what they think that is the rot of our society. And I want to call upon everybody who is in charge of the drama festival to sober up. This is just a play. And it has got nothing to do with incitement. It has got nothing to do with name calling. It is just a play artistically created to expose the rot that bedevils our country.
So then why are you arrested, Cleophas? Why have they arrested you? What are you doing in the police station?
They have told me nothing. I've been behind bars since yesterday at around 11 p.m. They have told me nothing. They are talking. Nobody's talking to me. I'm just in the police cells waiting for the next course of action. And I'm shocked that no government official has spoken to me since yesterday.
So you wrote this play, and it's not the first one that you've written. It's also not the first one that we've seen that has been written about governance or anything about, society or government. But this seems to be the one that has grabbed so much attention. Why?
Basically, it's because it's a play that talks about the people. It's a play that is out to expose the plight of the young generation, popularly known as the Gen Zs. They are demanding for good governance, governance that is free from corruption. They are demanding for universal health care. They are demanding for accountability in leadership and so many other things that they think that would paint a good society that they want to live in. And therefore, I think it is a play that, if given an opportunity to perform, it will really, really enlighten Kenyans and also help us correct the mistakes that we are committing as a country.
Okay, so Cleophas, just for your information, so you may not know this, or you may know at this point that the girls were to perform this morning. The Butere girls were to perform this morning. They declined to perform. They did sing the national anthem. They said a prayer and talked about the fact that they felt let down by whatever is happening at the moment, and then they exited the stage. What are your thoughts about that?
I think that was an act of heroic. It was a heroic moment for those girls because they wouldn't have performed without the audience, without their required decors, without their costumes, without their directors. That was unfair, and to me, I believe that the officials must be accountable for denying the students their rights to perform in artistic activities.
Mm. Echoes of War, again, scribed by yourself. You've told us about it just being a play that talks about society. Give us a little bit more insight. And I ask this because something has gotten somebody a little bit more irritated than just a play, Cleophas. What is this story about?
I'm not in a position to explain the details of the story right now because I'm even being told to give back my phone. With the police, I'm not in a good position. But if I'm invited in in a more calm environment, I'll be able to give the details of the play. But at the moment, I can't.
For sure. And of course, you are invited, and that's a conversation that we'd like to have with you at a better time. And I'm sure that we've already had that conversation with you. So looking forward to talking to you as soon as we can in this environment.
At the moment, I'm held at Ednah Police Station and not Nakuru Police Station.
Okay, so you're at Eldama Ravine, and hopefully you'll be out as the day progresses. And we look forward to having this conversation with you because it goes deeper than just this. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So thank you so much. So what would be your message, really quickly, if we can, to your students this morning? I
would like to encourage them, give them hope, let them gather hope and courage. This is a moment whereby they are big players when it comes to disseminating the relevant information to the public, and therefore they should just put up a brave face and know that they have been inscribed in history as one of those people who fought for the liberation of this country.
Cleopas Malala, asante sana. You've told us that you're at the Eldama Ravine prison and you're waiting for the next steps. You've been told that you have to give back your phone and go on to the next process. I mean, of course, wishing you the best at this point, and let's hear as the day progresses.
Thank you.
All right, and that is where we are. Cleopas Malala talking to us from the Eldama Ravine prison, having not been told essentially why he's been arrested. He can only conjecture, give us conjecture here. In terms of what is happening. Echoes of War is a play that was written by himself, and it was to be performed by the drama team at Butere Girls, and that was supposed to happen in Nakuru. What we've seen from last night is that there had been arrests and there had been police who'd been deployed to the area, insisting that there would be no audiences in the live at the rehearsals as well as at the performances. The Butere girls who were supposed to perform this play this morning, then of course as well as others, it's not just them, there are other schools that made their way to the premises this morning under heavy police presence, audiences not having been allowed into the auditorium or the hall. And then after that we've seen that the girls did get on stage to perform. They sang the national anthem. They talked about the fact that their handlers and teachers were not allowed to be in the room. They talked about the fact that their stage performance leads were not allowed to be there either. They then said a prayer and said that they could not, under such circumstances, then perform, and then they exited the stage. That's what we're looking at this morning. The Kenya Drama Festivals, national festivals, this would be the 63rd year. So it's not the first time that these festivals are taking place. Yeah. Neither is it the first time that there have been renditions of drama, of songs, of poems that have taken any kind of political direction. There have been many, have there not?
They have actually. They actually have. In fact, part of why it is you have the drama festival is, as has been simply put by many who've commented on it, is to allow the expression of creativity through drama by young Kenyans, young souls. And the drama festival affords an opportunity for that diversity to be expressed and to be witnessed by the citizenry. Now, we've had cases where students themselves have actually written plays that have been staged, and some have even gone to the national level. Remember, before you get to the national level, there are all these competitions that take place at ward, at county level, before you actually get to the nationals. So the adjudicators who are in charge of these processes must clearly have understood or seen something that was worthy of this particular play to allow it to now get to the national. Now, the national stage, what often happens is at the end of it, whether it is the music festival or the drama festival, the winners of all the various categories then go to State House and then perform all these songs, all these poems, all the songs, and then before the president. It is a tradition that has been there for the longest time, and clearly that tradition has been broken.
If you talk about this specific play and how it's even in the nationals, remember that the girls had been asked to go home. It took the intervention of the court to ask the school principal to bring back the girls and ensure that they perform at the national events. So even as the girls get here, already they were disadvantaged and they had been prejudiced up against with regard to them performing this play. But even when you talk about it, remember Cleopas Malala has also written Shackles of Doom, which equally touched on matters to do with the political space. And even as we talk about today, the expression of creativity through drama is something that has happened before. I remember a few years ago, again, it was all about climate change, and the young people went there and expressed themselves on how we need to take care of the environment.
Did they perform it?
They did perform it. Okay. Everybody performed it because it was a national theme. And back then it was good. Why today, when an expression is being done, why curtail them? Why stop it?
What's the fear? And I have to ask the question, that what was it about this play that would have brought about this clearly huge nervousness or anxiety to not have this performed? Is it the play itself? Is it political intrigues? Is there somebody that may have said or done something previously that would then preclude them from doing this? Are we looking at the wider impact that this has essentially on these young girls who have brought forth their talent? Because what is the National Drama Festival supposed to do? It nurtures talent. It enhances talent. It gives leeway to possibly careers that people will take in the future as thespians. And what we've seen is that a cloud over this has formed, and it is clear. So what are we saying? That there is a space, and if there are certain elements that come in, there is a space then where you will not then be allowed to have this expression made public.
I mean, what does this even do to the current curriculum that you're pushing the CBC? Because then the CBC even gives credence to the fact that when you start choosing your path, some will choose the path of creativity, get into acting, music and whatnot. But today we see a situation where the authorities of the land are curtailing these young people from exercising that which the government itself is pushing. What exactly are we doing to these young people? Because remember, they got there because of a court order. They've gone further to the court has told them to get there. They are there. You stop their teacher from going through their rehearsals with them. You arrest the teacher, yet there is a court order that is presented. These young people have experienced all this, and as we keep on saying in this show, what is the ripple effect, the snowball effect in the future? What exactly are we doing?
Somebody's got to step in and give answers here. It's a Dear Mr. President segment that we're having this morning. And again, we have to ask the question, Dear Mr. President, this is not just young girls who've been stopped from performing. This then has many more bleeds that we look at it from here. We're talking about freedom of expression. We're talking about the freedom then to go into a possible career later. We're talking about nurturing and enhancing gifts that you've given to young people. What do you think the effect on this is going to be when we know that art is a form of expression, number one? We also know that it is an expression through which many things are done and said. We look at things like sports for peace, which was used in many parts of this continent, whereby people said, well, how about we engage in sport so that we can then bring about peace in conflict? So when you look at art as an expression, these are messages that are sent through a creative manner. What happens when you cast a dark shadow over these things like what we are seeing happening today? I don't care how thin you slice it. I don't even care what you call it. But at the end of the day, what we're seeing clearly is a muzzling for certain things. But I've got to ask, who is behind it? Who is so uncomfortable with this message coming through? Have you heard the message? Have you seen what they're saying? Or are you actually then going to then prove what the pundits have been saying as true, that any kind of expression counter to what you believe or what you want then cannot make its way to the light of day? Is that what we're saying? Is that where we are today? Has it gone that far? Is it that bad?
You know, the thing about the media, and the thing that is often criticized by those whom the media has presented it in unflattering light, is that some say we exaggerate things, some say we dramatize things too much, and some outrightly say we simply do not speak the truth. Now, what has happened the matter of the play, the title of the play, and then now the content that many people have not witnessed or seen has now become a subject of national discussion.
Absolutely.
And young people across the country who will relate very directly to the young people who were supposed to stage this play will see it, and they will resonate with their contemporaries with regards to this. So the question that has to be asked is, what message do you think they have received? And how will they interpret this? Parents may interpret it in one way, the teachers may interpret it in one way, organs within government will actually interpret it in one way or the other. The point being this: are we seeing a situation where a certain fundamental freedom has been interfered with? Because a play is a form of expression.
It is.
And there is a guaranteed freedom under the Bill of Rights in this particular country. But more importantly is the ripple effect of what has played on. The media will be blamed.
For being melodramatic.
There are those who, yes, they will say the media are the ones who have actually highlighted this thing. Actually, we actually have.
Yes.
But we're the same people who will highlight anything that is positive. We're the same people who will comment and talk about the things and the progress that have been made. The media, if it is genuine, the media, if it is responsible, cannot just report on things which are negative. And if they do, then they are irresponsible. And if they do, then they should call themselves something else. But if the reporting is balanced, and what they are speaking of is simply documenting what has happened, then what they are doing is simply displaying and putting forth the truth.
Do you think that there needs to be an explanation as to why there is the muzzling of this play coming out into the public? Or you can just shut it down and say, well, we're not going to have this. There's been a court order. Look, that when the first thing that it came from, that it was not going to be allowed for this play to be performed, of course, it went to court. Court came back and said, actually, you know what? Let them perform, number one. Number two, allow them to access the rehearsal grounds. This show will go on, essentially. So it is your responsibility and duty as the person who gave the order to rescind it and then to allow them to go ahead. But we be clever and then we say, okay, fine, you can go ahead and perform, but you will not do so before an audience. You will not do so before teachers or anybody then who would have any kind of recording device. You will not do that. So do you actually follow the order? Are we actually being melodramatic? Are we saying that we're playing politics in the public eye? Are we saying that, this could just be a thing where, okay, Butere girls cannot perform during the drama festivals because of 1, 2, 3. Then we say, okay, no problem. Should that be the stance that is taken, whereby you say, okay, that's fine, move on to the next thing?
I mean, let's go back. Who gave the order for Butere girls not to perform? We start from there.
Please, we don't know who this person is.
Then that precipitated the next course of action, which was going to court. An order was given. The order was served to the petitioner who had actually blocked them from performing, and a court order was given to the police.
Who had blocked them from performing?
That's we're trying to find out. We're trying to find out. But then again, the police have been given the court order to make sure that the order from the court is respected and upheld. But then again, they decide not to live as per the aspirations of the court order. Remember, court order is a law. But then again, here we are today. Even the requests that the girls have given have not been honored. Ministry of Education must explain to us what has happened and why we are here today. Because it is under them who give the curriculum of institutions, of schools, including drama and music festival calendars. They must explain why Butere girls were blocked and why today that the girls were being forced not to perform and even their teacher being in jail. Ministry of Education squarely lies to them. And IG must equally tell us why police officers are not respecting court orders.
I wonder how it is this play went through all the processes to the point where it got to the national.
Exactly. They did community, they did regional,
county,
they did county, they did extra county, they did regional, they did provincials, then they came to national.
So how did they get here?
The man did not write version national. The version that they performed at the very beginning, because you don't do a separate submission. The same submission goes through to the top. So how come it was accepted until the national level? That's a very good question.
Let's also remember that they are at the national because they were the very best from the first performance they did. So even today, stopping them from, people have already seen what these girls have done.
Something doth stink.
Yeah. No, actually, this is odd.
Yeah.
It is odd.
Yeah.
It is odd. Plays that depict the government in an unflattering light have been there. Poems that...
as old as dirt.
Songs. And we're talking about this country.
Books.
What is it that is unique about this situation?
Do you mean now, Lisa, there's something that is
what is unique?
clicking.
Because this, even if every time you have a function of the nature at whatever level, the security is always involved. At every stage that you've mentioned, security was there.
Yes.
Intelligence was there. They know. Yet this play went through all these processes up until the national. And at the national, it suddenly became an issue. How exactly? What is it that happened at this particular point in time that this particular play now becomes the center of focus, to the point where we've even forgotten that there's actually a drama festival that we should be focusing on?
That there are hundreds of other schools and thousands of other young people
with thousands of other plays
and songs and poems and dances who are in this same school to perform. But do you see now the cloud cover that then has been registered as of last night and into this morning? So by that 2025 is going to go down in history as the year when it looked as though this thing was going to go up in smoke. Do we see the repercussions of such action? And asking the question, so what does it mean for everybody else who's practiced? And they'll be like, okay, so what matters? What does it mean for us as we go forward?
So apparently the girls were initially disqualified during the Western Region Drama Festivals under what? Unclear circumstances. The play was reinstated following a High Court ruling that ordered its inclusion in the national lineup. I refuse to accept that it was under unclear circumstances. Someone must have been rattled.
At what level were they dropped?
That is the Western Region.
The Western Region.
So they had gone up to the Western Region?
Yes.
Okay, but usually if your play is not admitted to go to the next level, reasons are given.
Yes.
Were reasons given?
No.
And those must be given. We're going to join our reporter again, who's on the ground. Kennedy Gashuhi is in Nakuru, and we're going to hear from him. Kennedy, good morning again. Hello, Kennedy.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. We are still here following up on the issue of the National Drama Festival.
Okay, let's get a situation report from you.
Yes, at the moment, the students from this Butere Girls Secondary School have already parted ways. So they have split into two groups because of tear gas that was lobbed at them, and they head to Scamper for safety. But some of them have already gone back to Kirobon Girls High School, where they are camping at the moment. But they never performed their play as expected. What we have been told is that they just performed the national anthem, and then they staged a walkout, insisting that they cannot perform without their props and other items that are necessary for the play. And also they were allowed to leave the school premises, but along the way, as we were talking to the students and some of the teachers who were present, the police came and lobbed tear gas at all of us, and we had to split our ways with them. At the moment, we are heading back to the school to see whether the other plays will be happening. But we also have the issue of former Senator Cleopas Malala, who is still in custody, in police custody in Elda Maravin. And the lawyer is expected to update us on what next for them in a few minutes. For Malala, it is not yet clear what they will be charging him for. But what they are insisting is that the play will be presented at the school. However, we don't know whether it will be performed at a later date or maybe later today. And we also don't know what will happen to Malala, whether he will be presented in court today or maybe he will just be released.
Okay, I need to ask you a question because before that, you did mention, Kennedy, that the tear gas was lobbed. Why? Was this because you came together in a crowd? Journalists were speaking with students. Why was there lobbing of tear gas? And is everybody okay? Because yesterday, some journalists were attacked. Other things like this happened. So tell us, what was the reason for that? And is everybody all right?
Well, the students got to a point where they alighted the bus, and then we started filming the scene where they had stopped. And in the process of filming, we just had more police officers arriving there. They never gave any instructions on whether we should leave or not. We only had loud bangs behind ourselves of tear gas canisters exploding right where the children were. And the children, they just had to scamper for safety. Only half of the 32 children managed to get back inside the bus, and the other ones scampered into the crowd that was building around that area.
And are journalists okay? We know that there were some who may have been, caught up in all of this melee. Is everybody all right?
Yeah, everyone is all right. We have not heard of any injuries among our colleagues or even among the students.
All right, Kennedy, thank you so much for that update. We're going to, patch back in with you at some point to find out how things are progressing, and, keep safe, and let's keep talking.
Thank you.
Things have escalated from last night until this morning. We have also seen a comment that has come in from former Baringo Senator Gideon Moy, and he says that, the high school learners are not enemies of the state. The young girls of Butere are not enemies of the state, but daughters of this nation. Rather than being punished for speaking the truth through art, they should actually be celebrated. And now we're seeing a spiraling of this whole thing out of whack. And the question then remains, what will happen in the near future when you say, are we going to stifle creativity, even though we are using, and for the longest time, whether it's art, whether it's music, whether it's drama, whether it's poetry, whether it's dance, they've all been used as forms of expression across board, expressions of love, expressions of community, expressions of governance, over and over and over again. There is something that is scaring somebody. And we don't know who it is. We don't know who's given the order. But this is why we say, dear Mr. President, it doesn't look good right now. It doesn't look good at all. So, dear Mr. President, a minute ago was too late to open and say something about what's going on. Unless there was something untoward that was going to happen, that the stoppage of this in the manner in which we see was going to be the solution. Unless for that, there should be a stop to all of this, where we have tear gas being lobbed at children. No, I think we've dropped the ball. Where we see children who've come to express their art through a festival which has been 63 years in the running. Do we do that for children? Do we put a cover of fear and darkness over what could be other performances today and into the next coming days? Or for goodness sake, into the next coming of years? Who's doing this? Somebody's giving the order. And dear Mr. President, we can actually ask you to stand up and stop this.
Yeah, Mr. President, all that is needed, as said, is to just say stop. I mean, when we talk about this performance, it started from the very basic level. It started from a level where at the county, you talk about within the regional areas, and police officers were around to make sure that security was provided for these very same girls that today you are lobbying tear gas against. I mean, Mr. President, you lead this country, you lead the institutions that govern drama. We talk about the Teacher Service Commission, we talk about the Ministry of Education. C.S. Ogamba, where are you in this? We want to see you stand up and give a position on why this is happening and why it was even cancelled in the first place. We cannot continue like this because those girls are traumatized, and we cannot continue like this.
Dear Mr. President, there are periods in the history of every country, as it is in the history of mankind, where certain events are the pivotal point at which you can actually determine when things started falling apart. A situation where young Kenyans are being targeted by police who have canisters full of tear gas. This is absolutely and completely unheard of. There are chain reactions that can be forestalled, chain reactions that can be foreseen, chain reactions that can be managed. When an event or an incident involves children, it becomes an emotive matter. Logic sometimes flies out of the window, and people will not logically reason and logically seek to understand a situation. They will be led by their emotions and how they feel. There are very few things that trigger the emotions than things that involve children. Very few. This is an unfortunate situation that must be rectified with utmost speed before it actually spirals off.
Mr. President, you see, sorry to bring this part of during your previous campaign when you stood before Kenyans and said, speaking to your former boss, Mr. President, don't come for my children, come for me. Mr. President, today Kenyans are telling you, don't come for our children, protect our children. These are the children of this society called Kenya. And they were performing, rightfully so, under the education curriculum. It is their right to express themselves whichever way the Constitution allows them. Cannot appear as though the office that is supposed to give them that basic right of expressing themselves is the very same institution that is taking that right from them. Mr. President, you must stand and speak. Like Ndu says, a minute. The past minute is a little bit too late.
Yeah, Mr. President, the history of this country is replete with examples of mistakes that people in government have made. Yes, there are people and they will and they must make mistakes. It is the way of human beings. But mistakes need not remain mistakes. They can be corrected. But in the correction of matters, time is often of the essence.
Indeed.
The reason why Kenya is touted by many to be a haven of peace is because of our freedoms, which are enshrined in our constitution. The freedoms with which people speak, the freedom with which people can be contrarian, and the freedom with which we are tolerant of views that are divergent from us. It is something we must hold sacrosanct because it not only defines us, but it sets us apart. Understanding, accommodating, giving time, giving an ear to a contrarian view. It is a hallmark of maturity that surpasses very many other hallmarks. The issue and the debates around our education and the JSS system has arisen because the JSS system involves children and the learning. When one talks about the teachers in the JSS, if they were not teaching the children, their importance would not be as great as it is. So when things about that system, which involves children, seems to be in a state of constant hiccups, then the worry and the concern for the children and what their future holds becomes a central issue and a central matter of discussion. But it is a discussion that must have a solution, and that solution must be soon. We cannot have situations of problems and others compiling, especially when it involves children. Because when we are all gone, it is these children who will be left with this country. It is them who will run this country. So are we ensuring that this country will be left in safe, sane, balanced hands? That future is being determined, and you, Mr. President, are in a position to guide that future, to ensure that these children are the children who will make this country even greater than it is today.
Dear Mr. President, even in chaos lies a golden opportunity to then show yourself strong. That in this case, we do not know who's done this. We do not know who is behind it, but we do know who holds the highest seat in the land and has an opportunity to sort this out. When we see the most innocent and the most vulnerable in our society being attacked in the manner in which they have been this morning, we then start to ask questions. And then we're gripped with a fear that sometimes is so strong that we do not know what to do with it. Dear Mr. President, there are children who in Nakuru this morning are not really sure about what the future holds. And I'm not talking about this afternoon in terms of whether they'll be able to perform. I'm talking about the future whereby they are not sure what's going to happen if they open their mouths to express themselves in a God-given right. Dear Mr. President, there are children this morning who are wondering what on earth is going on. There are children this morning who are now blinded by the sting of tear gas. There are children this morning, dear Mr. President, who are asking questions, and their parents, their fellow citizens are also asking questions about what's going on. I repeat, we do not know who is behind this, but we do know who has an opportunity to bring this to an end and ensure that the future of those like these young children is secured in freedom. You can, dear Mr. President, say something about this, and you can do it now. We ask that you do, because folks are following your command. It cannot be that Kenyans are saying now that they have come for our children. It cannot be the case. It's got to get better. And again, here lies a golden opportunity for you to do something with this and say that this comes to an end. Why should we actually criminalize children for their freedoms in expression? Why should we do that? Why should we have a situation that then brings this about? Dear Mr. President, the golden opportunity is in your hands. I plead with you that you take it. My people have a saying, and I said this the other day, that it is not when the water is around your neck that you say you want to do something about it. When you see the water rising around your ankles, that is the time. When you see things have gotten to the point whereby we experience what we've seen in Nakuru with this particular drama festival, that we start to ask questions about what could happen next. And to stay people away from the thing of what could happen next, that are people starting to live in a place where there is fear, you deal with it now. Dear Mr. President, you say something today. You go to Nakuru today. You open your mouth today and you shut down the drums that are making noise right now. That you shut down the one who's given this order. That children under the age of 18 have had to deal with the tear gas situation this morning, and that have to live in fear and have to be in a disappointed stage whereby things that they have practiced for years, things that they have seen that they can be proud of, is basically taken away from them. No, Mr. President, not children.
Yeah, Mr. President, you see, sitting here, I am a product of the National Drama Festivals, and we know what that means and the work that is put in place in making sure that students can be able to perform and be able to bring out the very best that they do have. Dear Mr. President, what is the mistake of these children in performing and expressing themselves? No one has told us. Mr. President, at that point when this performance was being withdrawn from the county, dear Mr. President, perhaps that was the time when you should have asked what was wrong with that. Dear Mr. President, it's a little bit too late, because as we say, parents are saying they have come for our children. And we talk about these children knowing that these children are forming perceptions with regard to the government that there is, with regard to the persons that are supposed to protect them. Because, Mr. President, we speak about a court order that has been issued by the court, which is an arbiter in this republic, where we run to be able to give us a way forward. Mr. President, a court order was given in favor of the school and the students. But, Mr. President, the police, whose sole purpose is to maintain law and order, are busy breaking the law and order. Dear Mr. President, it is about time CS Kipchumba Murkomen spoke, the IG spoke as to why the police are disrespecting court orders. It's about time we were spoken to with the interior, with the education CS, Mr. Ogamba, as to why the children under his purview are being mistreated. Mr. President, you as the leader of this country, it's an opportune time for you to speak up and give a way forward. Dear Mr. President, it's an opportunity for you to speak up and stop the mess that is going on. We cannot wait another second, another minute.
Yep.
Dear Mr. President, when we got our independence, the citizens of Kenya who were in a position to understand what happened knew that something momentous had happened. Something that many people had never thought they would see. It would never happen. As the British flag was lowered and the Kenyan flag raised, there were many people who shed tears of joy. The ululations and the shouting and the expression of sheer delight that rang through the air. My parents tell me of that story. They told me of that story because they witnessed it and they were there when it happened. It was the dawn of a new era. A new era for the freedom of Kenyans, a new era of freedom for Africans. And it was a good time. Freedom must be guarded jealously. Freedom must be nurtured carefully, painstakingly. Freedom must be given the breath of fresh air and the water for it to grow so that it becomes a natural part of our existence as a country. Because that is now what determines the strength and the moral backbone that a country has. And it has to be a deliberate action that it is encouraged. And the encouragement takes hold, the encouragement gathers momentum, even grows wings, when that push is from the very, very top. And that is your position, Mr. President. The legacy we speak of then becomes that. Because the thing that mankind has always hankered for and the things that our histories as mankind are full of is the human spirit and the fight for freedom. The human spirit and the fight for self-determination. That determination grows. And when nurtured, it grows into a beautifully wonderful thing. Something that one can look back to, take pride and be happy about. The incidences we speak of are beginning to form an alternative legacy. And that is not a legacy that anybody would want. It cannot be that the freedoms that were hard fought for, the freedoms that have been fought for even with what we refer to as the second liberation, they must be enshrined, they must be entrenched. And they must benefit the citizenry. They must enjoy those freedoms. There must be a situation where each and every Kenyan understands that they have an equal right to everything that the Constitution promises them. We're an African country, and we take our leaders seriously. We believe what our leaders tell us. We expect them to show us paths that are good for us. We expect them to be visionary. We even expect them to be prophetic. We rely on them to ensure that our lives are better. It is why we vote for them. It is why we give them the powers that we do within the Constitution. Dear Mr. President, the future and the present are not as far apart as people think. A minute from now is the future.
Indeed.
2 seconds from now is the future. When it becomes a minute, a lot will have happened then. When it becomes an hour, a heck of a lot will have happened. When it becomes a day and you translate it into a week and a month and a year, all the building blocks of the legacy will have taken root and they'll be growing. We have a choice. Which choice will we make?
Well, we talk about melodrama and we say that we're being too sensationalist and we're making noise. Well, how does a rip begin? It's a little unraveling of thread. It's just a little bit, and that's how it starts. That when you see a heart attack, it didn't start. It was not sudden. There were sudden things that happened before it got to the point where it did. You don't just see somebody's leg being amputated. Something happened along the line. So it's the muzzling of the expression of speech or expression at a drama festival today, it could be something else tomorrow. And we're saying that the time has passed for certain things to be nipped in the bud because they've already unraveled. But it doesn't mean that you cannot pick up the string and put it back. It doesn't mean that you can't put the gun back in the holster. It doesn't mean that you can't take the bullet out of the chamber. You can. And that's what we're saying needs to happen now, because we'll get to a point whereby what we are seeing, it'll look like child's play. That it'll be no big deal. Do we get to the point where it becomes normal to tear gas children? Does it get to the point where it gets normal that you muzzle people and have all of this drama around a play? That shouldn't you and then to also be able to rein in people who want to display these kind of tendencies whereby muzzling happens? So what we're saying is that the sensitization needs to take place. The sensationalist view needs to happen. The melodrama needs to happen, because if you don't make noise about something that you see going out of whack today, you will not be able to collect the tears tomorrow, no matter how many dams, bowls, containers you have. When you see a situation that you can rein in today, you do it today. That you need to have a nation that you gather up, you need to have people that you govern over. And when you see situations like this, you must do something about it today. You can't wait until tomorrow. Dear Mr. President, I implore you today to please speak up about some of these things. There are people who may believe that they're acting for you. There may be people who believe that they're acting in the best interest of the government of the day. But this is what we see. And it doesn't look pretty at all. The optics play a big role. The perceptions also play a big role. There's something that can be done about it. There's something that can be done about it today. I don't know that you're going to be able to claw back on some of the losses that have been made. I don't know if Butere girls will agree to perform. I don't know if other people who are feeling afraid will perform today. Have we cast a shadow over these festivals? By all means, we have.
Yes.
Are we going to be able to claw back from it? I do not know. But should we? 100% we should.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.